Hello, this is teddygaming, and welcome back to another very special and important video on my channel, because today I'm going to be interviewing Frederick B Owens, the person who has voiced multiple people on the Two Nation Ninja Turtles 2003 show. For instance, he has voiced Leatherhead.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Leatherhead.
Traximus.
Count me in.
And Guardian.
You have made an ally this day.
So would you like to tell us a bit about yourself, like what you're doing now?
Right now, I'm just coaching basketball. I am not as involved in the business as I once was. I'm coaching, teaching youth basketball, skill and development, helping kids get scholarships to go to university. So, I mean, I still do the occasional film. I do a stage production. Of course, since the pandemic has hit, there's not a lot to be done anyway. So I just focus on the youth now and helping them get scholarships so they can get free education and go to university.
So the first question is, did you watch the previous versions of the Turtles?
Honestly, I had never seen it before. I was doing a series with Fox at that time, and one of the directors came into the room, and he liked my voice, and he said they were doing. Well, he had a character that he was interested in my reading for at the time, which was Leatherhead. Yeah. And he wanted to know if I'd come in and read for it. And I was like, well, sure. And so my kids knew all about it. I knew about it, but I had never seen one episode of it, not one. So I became a huge fan the day that I did it. That's when I became a fan.
Oh.
Yes.
And what was the auditioning process like?
It was pretty simple. They just gave me something to read. Basically, it was an introduction. He says, hi, I'm Leatherhead.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Leatherhead.
So it was just a, basic introduction thing of him describing himself or how he came about. And that was it. They wanted him to sound very, which is funny, very intelligent. Because he was using these bigger than life words, which was really funny also because they had a person the entire time I was there who would pronounce words for me, because a lot of the words I was not familiar with, and they didn't want to continuously have me to say the words and then have to correct me. So they had a person that was there the entire time to do all of that.
And are the voices any different from your normal voices?
What's the question again?
Are the voices different from your normal voices?
No, it's basically Leatherhead is my voice. That is my voice. Now the other one that I do, which is One Piece, Jolly Roger or Gold Roger was his name. That's totally a different voice than my regular speaking voice. But Leatherhead, traximus, the same thing. It's basically right in my wheelhouse, right where I speak.
Yeah. And what's your favorite character to voice?
Probably Leatherhead.
And was it difficult to get into the character?
No, not at all. I walked into the room in character. Leatherhead is basically who I am. I just had to slow down my speech for a little bit because, whenever I get a role that I have to speak really, really fast, and I'm sure I shared it with you before, I do stutter. So that role was the challenging one for me because it challenged me to slow down my speech, which was helpful to me.
Did you apply for any other roles?
No, I don't think I did. No.
Was there any episodes of Angle Cart that you were in?
Do I know the name of the episodes?
No. Was there any episodes that he was going to be in, but they were cut from like production?
I really can't say. I don't know.
Okay. Did you have any input on your character or the TV show?
No. No, it's very strict. You come in, the director tells you what he wants. Now, if you're playing a lead character, then it's different because you have time to develop the character. So you do have input. But for the secondary characters, which, you're not there every week, so when you are there, you just get it done. For the secondary characters, no, there's very little input. If you do have any, it's pretty rare. I didn't have any input at all. So They told me exactly what they wanted, and they didn't rest until I gave them that character. So I tried some other things because my grandfather had a very interesting speaking voice, and I tried to use, but they didn't want that. They wanted what I gave them. That's what they wanted. They didn't want no tricks to it. They just want me to take a breath, use my proper voice, regular speaking voice. That was what they wanted, and that was it.
Hmm.
And it was always difficult to stay in that character because at that time with Fox, I was doing at least 9 different characters in in different animations. So I was doing this character for this show called Funky Cops. I don't know if you ever heard of it, ever seen it,
I've
but
heard of it.
but I was playing the captain for Funky Cops. I was also playing the bartender in Funky Cops, and I played the voice of a couple of the bad guys in Funky Cops. So it was almost a challenge within itself to just keep up with the few roles that I was doing. So I can imagine how a person like Mel Blanc, who did hundreds of voices, had to come in, and how did he stay in those characters? It's amazing to me because I only had to do 9, and I would go in and they would say, do Leatherhead. Sometime I'd be doing the captain and I couldn't even differentiate. I couldn't even tell the difference after a while. And
Yeah.
I was like, which one is this? But so I always made sure I listened to the character before we would ever go into recording, and that was how I solved the problem. So,
Hmm. Do you have any favorite episodes from the show?
um, I don't know the episodes, but I do have a favorite one. It is the one that Leatherhead was introduced. Also, there is one where Traximus was part of this um, war games kind of thing where they had this.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah, those two that I remember specifically because they wanted um, me to be in my best voice for both of them. And for Traximus, I had to go outside of my range because there was a lot of war stuff going on. So I had to do a lot of hollering and screaming and that kind of stuff. And that was different. I had never done that before. So, I mean, it was a challenge, just like anything else. But once you do it and you go, wow, that was pretty neat, you kind of impress yourself that you can get it done because at the end of the day, it's just you in a booth with a microphone. So there is no other ambiance for you to play to. Um, there is no character that's actually in front of you. It's just you. And so when you have to play those things, especially when you have to interact with another character, it's really challenging because there's no one there to interact with. No one. I'll try to take my glasses off.
And do you have any? And who's your favorite person to work with, like with like the cast?
Oh God, that would be probably insulting to half the guys that I worked with if I named just one. So I'll plead the fifth on that one. I won't say. I mean, I know who it is, but I I won't give that away. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt the feelings of those who may think that they are and they aren't. So
Yeah.
let's just stay safe with that one.
And do you have any? And do you have a favorite character in the show?
Yeah. In
The Turtles.
the Turtles, yes. Leatherhead, that is my favorite character. The Turtles itself, they didn't do nothing for me because I wasn't playing one of those guys. All of my favorite animation characters are characters that I played, um, because only I know how much time I spent into developing the characters. So that was, not that I thought I was so great at something, but I had no experience at all of this stuff when I first did it. And I just know that growing up, I was a huge fan of cartoons. My favorite cartoon growing up was Tom and Jerry. Um, and there were others, and there were characters, guys like Bruce Dern were my favorite voices to do, and Mel Blanc. So you had Bruce Dern, Mel Blanc, those two guys. So to grow up and hear those guys doing that kind of stuff, and then you get a chance and the opportunity to do it also. Um, it was like a dream come true, really, because it's not anything that I ever thought I would do. I mean, I was a dancer, singer, actor on Broadway, at that time. So I never had any aspirations to do animation. It just fell in my lap. And once it did, it snowballed from there. And, different directors would come into the booth when I was working, and then they would say, I really like your voice. Do you think you can do X, Y, Z? Because I did voices for G.I. Joe, but I don't remember the characters. There were quite a few. If it was on Fox at that time, chances are I had a voice in there somewhere. Ugio was another one. I was doing everything. And, it all came to an end, though, because I had to move out to Los Angeles at that time. So I was only there for about 2 years. So I did all of that. All of what the animation stuff that I did took place in a span of 2 years. And I never did another one after that.
Did you watch the TV show at the time, or did you watch it?
Was I watching it at the time?
Yeah, or did you?
Absolutely, because it was coming on at Saturday morning, which I had time to watch on Saturday morning, and it was something that I was sharing with my sons also. It was a bigger deal for them than it ever was for me. Their whole thing of going to school and telling all the kids that their father, you can watch my father on TV, and the kids were like, well, I didn't see him. And they said, well, you don't see him, you only hear him. And so that created another whole thing for them, because the kids were like, well, if I don't see him, I don't believe it's him. And so that's how that whole thing went. But sharing it with my sons was the biggest thing for me, because I watched them take pride in their father, and that was a really big deal for me.
Did you get to watch the episodes before they actually came out, or did you have to watch them with everyone else?
No, not before then. Like I said, I knew what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, I knew what it was. It was a really big deal in New York at that time. I just had no interest in it, because at that time, if my sons didn't have interest in anything, chances was I didn't either. So they knew about G.I. Joe and Ugio and all those. They were fans of that already. But once I got on Ninja Turtles, then they became the biggest fan of the show. So much that I used to invite them down to the studio so they could watch me, do my thing, which inspired them, because my eldest son eventually ended up doing some animations also. And that was, the inspiration came from all of that, just watching his father work.
How do you feel about the current state of the franchise, or do you not keep up with it anymore?
I don't keep up with it anymore, and which is typical for most actors. Once we're done doing something, we're done doing it. It no longer pays you, so you don't take time out of your day anymore to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And I'm no different. So the last time I actually physically sat down and watched an episode was 2005. That was it.
Why did Leatherhead have a different voice in the other seasons?
Why did he?
Yes.
Well, because again, it was what they wanted. If it had been up to me, really, Leatherhead would have had a British accent, because that's what I thought when it's funny in the States when people say, we want you to sound intelligent. We always think British accent. I don't know why. It's not like the only intelligent people are, in the UK. They're intelligent people all over the world. But we just think that for some reason, because that is basically what has been showcased to us over the years in film and TV. All of your best, Shakespearean actors, your most intelligent actors. You look at people, like Alfred Hitchcock. When people hear his accent, they think, wow, he's just so intelligent. So I wanted him to have a British accent. They said, no, we like your voice and your accent alone, which is interesting because I'm originally from North Carolina. So what most people don't even know, they say that Leatherhead, they felt, had a New York accent. No, Leatherhead had a North Carolina accent, because that's what I am. So there you go.
The final question is, and it's obviously a Turtle classic. And who's your favorite Turtle?
Well, what now?
As a Turtle,
My favorite turtle?
yes.
Donatello. I think that's the correct pronunciation, correct?
Yes.
Yes, he's the one. He is the one.
What?
And it's only because when we would record, sometimes he was always the first one there. And so I always got a chance to pick his brain, and he taught me quite a few things about the microphone that I didn't know and studio technique that I didn't know. You know, so that's the only reason why he really became my favorite, because he's the only one that took the time to help me out and work with me and to teach me the voice acting game. It was Donatello.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And that's gonna be it for the interview.
Alrighty. That was
Okay.
pretty painless.
And thank you so much for doing this interview.
You are very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.